Beyond?
It's beyond time.
Beyond.
It's the Beyond Countdown.
Beyond. Beyond.
I was doing
Beyond.
it.
I couldn't even tell who was doing it. That's how
That was me.
I was doing it.
Yeah, it could have been right.
it wasn't
You
me.
never know.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 43 of Podcast Beyond.
Beyond.
I am Chris Roper, host and editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team. With us is the whole team, Greg Miller.
Hey.
Jeff Haynes.
Feel it now.
And Ass Editor Ryan Clements.
It's me, everybody.
Yes, it is. Drinking some water.
Yep.
I'm drinking some burning hot chocolate. Holy crap, it's hot.
Wow.
I've never seen you drink the hot chocolate and then react in pain like that.
Recoil.
It's very, very mouth burning right now.
That's weird.
Let's
not
get right
good.
into the Roper Report.
Too hot.
Time for some news.
So a bunch of game announcements were made in the past like 24 hours, which were crazy. Some
No
big
way.
stuff.
Insane.
Big stuff. Last night at midnight, we broke the news on Lord of the Rings Conquest
Ooh.
from Pandemic, which is basically like Battlefront, but Lord of the Rings. Sounds kind of rad.
That sounds insane.
150 dudes on screen. Yesterday was also Fight Night 4. Fight Night Round 4 is announced for a 2009 release
With Mike Tyson.
with Mike Tyson.
Biting ears.
That's
Hell
pretty-
yeah, Fight Night. That's what I'm talking about. And I got a quote from IGN tournament winner Ivan Sulich, who said, hell yeah.
The return of Ivan for Fight Night Round 4.
And
tourney?
we might have to. Well, he's got the belt. We have to
Yeah,
get
we
him
might
back
have
in
to-
here to get the belt back.
Yeah.
From him. And then another. And then the biggest one of all is Doom 4 was just kind of almost casually announced in a press release from id Software.
yeah,
and they
nobody
were,
cares about that at all.
Yeah, they were just sort of like, hey, guess what? We're making Doom 4 and we're hiring. So come work for us to make Doom 4.
Is The Rock going to be in it?
They did not specify.
He better
Okay.
be.
The Sarge
That's my
monster.
expectation.
Jason or Charles, somebody over on the PC side, got a quote from Todd Hollinshead, who said that they would prefer just to let the press release speak for itself. And really all it says is they're making the game.
And they're hiring.
And they're hiring. So, yeah, so that's all we know about that one. That's kind of weird because usually these kind of announcements from id happen at QuakeCon or something, or at Macworld, apparently. But anyway, so
Hey,
that's
go
coming.
get yourself a job.
Continuing on, there's some release date news for the PS3. Okay, so as most people know, on this Tuesday in the U.S. here, and I guess in the U.K. as well, whatever. Anyway, on Tuesday was there was this PlayStation Day over in London, and handful of games are on display. There was Killzone 2, Resistance 2, MotorStorm, Pacific Rift, and Little Big Planet.
I can't wait to play Killzone this year.
I know it's gonna be. Oh no. Too
What?
bad.
What'd you do? What did you do?
Unfortunately, Killzone 2 is now coming in February of 2009.
Oh, shucks.
You know what, though? Really, I mean, I think everybody expected it to come out in November, so we're looking at a 3-month delay, which
Yeah,
isn't
it's not
that big
that
a
bad
deal. And
as
with
of now.
Resistance coming out around that time anyway, I mean, around like the November time frame, I'm
Yeah.
saying. Not there's no specific date, but I'm saying it's in November. Then, you got Resistance to play online for, 3 months, and then you got Killzone, so that's not bad.
Resistance will pwn.
You heard it here first.
Minor fail.
Good news, sort of, depending on how you look at it. Apparently, people before thought that Little Big Planet was coming in September, which I don't know where anybody ever got that official news from. But it's officially October in the UK. And we're all making the very, I think, wise assumption that it's going to be a worldwide release, or at least super close. So I would expect it to be in the US also.
Super
Although
close.
Sony is not making any sort of announcement for its release date outside of the UK. But whatever, that's what it is. And then the last couple bits of news is that there's a Haze demo out on the PlayStation Network today, which, yeah, you can go play Haze.
And co-op. It's not just single player.
Oh, yeah, it's co-op.
Yes.
And the best of all is for you people that were having problems playing a little game known as Grand Theft Auto 4, which sold a few
Including
copies
us.
past
Did that
week.
come out?
Yeah, I think so. And it sold a couple copies, made like $100 or something.
IGN
wow.
said it
Yeah,
sucked.
something like that.
Yeah, we gave it a terrible
7-9.
review. Anyway, the patch for the online stuff is out, so you can actually play the game online correctly now. So very good. Maybe we'll do an editor beatdown at some point.
What?
Maybe
Maybe
it'll
something's in the
work besides
works.
just a lobby. Maybe we can just actually get points for our kills.
That'd
No
be
way.
incredible.
That would be
Don't
that'd be
give
awesome.
up. I don't
Don't
believe
give
it.
away my editor beatdown speech later on.
Okay.
Just giving away all the
I'm
details.
You haven't told me what the editor beatdown
That is
That's
called
true.
a tease
We
and a
didn't-
I
promo.
told you to ask them.
You said we, not me.
Well,
Ryan,
clearly that
that is
means
called
you.
a tease or a promo
Okay.
in the business.
I see.
Jeez.
Thanks for telling me, Jeff.
Just ruined the whole thing.
Oh
I'm
man.
going to have to start this all over now.
Well, no.
Why?
No,
I don't
we've
We've
understand.
come too far. We can't turn back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Greg,
Full
why don't you
speed
tell
ahead.
us what's coming out this week?
Sure, because I have the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
I don't even know. I got nothing right now.
Wow.
He is phoning it in. This is like
Epic
the
fail
second
Thursday,
week.
So,
God.
Clements.
wait. Let's,
I've got
what's going on with you?
I got no new song on the tip of my tongue right now.
Well,
Usually something comes
so
to me,
let's
but I can't
talk
think
about
of anything.
let's talk about Ryan's personal life right now.
Yeah, and how he's
Ryan,
phoning things
Ryan,
in.
but right before we started recording, was complaining about how he had pulled a muscle in his arm, so we
Yeah.
can't figure that one out. So if readers know how
Can't
to,
figure it out.
would you want to explain where this muscle is? Maybe
This will
somebody
make
can
for
tell
a
you how. To,
great segment. Yeah,
Well,
it's
just
like,
Ryan's
it's
topic
like
of the
it's
week.
a nut-
Where's
it's a-
Ryan's pain? He pulled a muscle. Is it his groin, his face, or his back? Let's find out.
That was a great theme song.
Oh, God.
It's like a knot or a muscle pull in like my right shoulder, like right behind or kind of underneath to the side of the shoulder blade. on
Okay,
the
so
back.
if anybody knows how to
Anyone
stretch
knows
that
how
out,
to stretch that, get
send
that
that in.
out. You
But
can
then
send that in for a prize.
also yesterday,
of my gratitude.
Ryan went running and almost exploded.
Almost
so
exploded all
so-
over the street.
So he's having some sort of physical problems where he's breaking down and
Clearly
maybe,
that's connected
maybe
to my
of leprosy.
psyche. Yeah, and
Maybe
it could be
maybe it's
leprosy.
like in X-Men when the guy got Magneto gave him the powers and then he broke into water.
That's what it could be.
Yep.
You're falling apart at the atomic level.
Oh man,
It's gonna be hard to
So,
save that, man.
yeah.
It's
So
killing
I-
Superman right
So
now.
I can understand why you don't have a sort of theme song for
yeah, that makes a lot
for
more.
the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all three platforms by the IGN editors.
There you go. Good job. It almost killed him, but he got it out. I don't remember saying Iron Man last week. Iron Man came out.
No, you said that
Did
it
I?
might be coming out on Friday
Okay.
because we record on Thursday,
Something like
that.
so we didn't know yet.
Well, Iron Man is officially out now for PlayStation 3, PS2, and PSP. You should not buy any of those versions or copies in any way, shape, or form.
Are you saying this is going to be the ET of this console generation?
No, I won't
worse.
say that. But it's not a good game, and you should not buy it. Please don't. PlayStation 3 does, however, get Pixel Junk Monsters Encore on the PSN
It's an
this week.
encore. Bravo.
Everybody in the room loves Pixel Junk Monsters, I think.
Hells yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen Roper voluntarily hang out with Ryan until that game came out.
That's true.
He was over at
That
his
is
desk
so
all
true.
the time. What are you doing? What are you playing? All right, cool. Blah, blah. And then PSP gets R-Type Command, which I believe we're going to have a review of today.
Yeah, very soon.
Radical.
Keep your eyes out.
Very good, very good. Anything else?
Nope.
Great.
Oh.
Great.
So now,
Good.
okay, so we got Iron Man this week, and R-Type Command hit the PSP. But this brings us to our topic of the week, where
Topic of the week.
topic of the week is,
Guitar solo.
so it right now
I'm
it
more of a
looks
spoken singer than the Ryan's
Yeah.
j-
Yeah.
jingles.
drum fill. So right
You're
now,
a jingle man.
That was good. That was good.
so right
I
now
liked
it
it.
looks like Sony's going to have a good 2009 or 2008. I'm sorry, and 2009, I guess. But anyway, with 2008, you got Resistance and MotorStorm and Little Big Planet and all these other games coming out. And
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters
For a little system called
That's
the PS3.
cross-platform. But
I
yeah,
know.
but it looks like a really strong year. And so, and when we're going back to the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all three platforms by the IGN editors,
Don't.
you'll notice that sometimes not really anything comes out on the PSP or PS2 anymore. We still like last month, I think there was 2 PSP releases. And they were both
Yeah.
on the 29th or something.
Yeah,
so
they
we-
came out dead last week.
We
to
went
get
like
them on the thing.
3 or 4 weeks without having a review because there was nothing to review.
Mm-hmm.
And PS2, there's still stuff coming out for it, but most of the stuff nobody even cares about. I think Manhunt was like the last big one. And then there's there's some niche good titles in there. Ryan's reviewed a couple of good fighters and things like that, and a couple of good collections.
Dog
but
Island got
Dog
delayed.
Island, yeah. So,
got delayed. I've been
I know,
waiting for
Dog
that
Island
one.
PS2
That was on
delayed.
the top of my list.
but topic of the week is we're going to talk about is the PS2 and even maybe PSP on the downfall. And is it because of the PS3? I mean, with the case of the PS2, obviously it's because of the PS3. But what's happening with the PSP now? What's going on with it? Why aren't there these huge games right now? Why are releases so far apart? Ryan, give me the
I
answer
wonder
right
if the
now.
stars just aligned in such a way as that all the big games kind of came out in quick succession, and then there was a big gap where people haven't really been developing and scheduling a release for this particular period
When
of
was
time.
this star alignment?
So Ryan's going for the horoscope
You
field.
had Star Wars Battlefront and then God of War.
And then Crisis Core.
And those were, what, 6 months apart?
Yep.
Yeah, so...
And
Well,
then
here's the thing. I think
Crisis
doesn't
Core.
this
no,
all
you
kind
had
of
Patapon.
this
Come
all
on.
falls
Then
back to
Patapon.
people saying that that whole stigma that the PlayStation
Pursuit
Portable
Force.
doesn't have good games.
Yeah.
Because that always is what the argument is. And I think the problem is that they're always spaced out. And I think in a lot of ways, correct me if I'm wrong, Roper, as being the all-knowing eye in the room, in the olden days of video gaming, there was usually a spring lull. Like I remember
Yeah.
not having stuff to buy and
That-
having
yeah, that's absolutely
having time to play. And it seems like those days are long gone now. I mean, with events for E3 being so far out now and games coming out all the time. I mean, we just had Grand Theft Auto in the middle of spring. Now we have Metal Gear. I mean, there's always a big release coming up, it seems, for every other system.
Yeah.
But you know what I think part of it is, though, is that I think a lot of publishers kind of like mistimed the calendar. Because a lot of it, especially at the tail end of last year, either you had games that were coming out that were supposed to be in a certain like week, and they pushed it off because of like other games, or they were afraid that the title would get swamped, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you had like a lot of the really, really big games that everybody wanted to check out at the beginning of this year, and so that spring lull just really fell off for the PSP, and so all of a sudden you're looking at things and it's like, where the hell are the games?
Yeah.
And that's where the serious lull is it's like, okay, we're now in a drought where there's like maybe a PSP game once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks now, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, that's just people not planning well. I mean,
Now, see, here's what it looks like to me is that, I mean, as you mentioned, people think that the PSP doesn't have any good games, but there's a whole crapload of really good titles for the system.
Yeah.
especially this year, the beginning of this year.
The beginning of this year and the end of last year was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of last year was awesome. There's a whole lot of great games played. Give or take about one really good game every month and a half, about thereabouts. You know, I mean, you're going to get probably about 10 really, really, really good titles throughout the year, right? And not to mention just all the other stuff that's just fun to play. But there isn't really a whole lot of extra filler that you see on all these other systems. You see, like, so for every Grand Theft Auto 4, there's all these movie license games and all these other things that come out, and, you know, kind of generic racers and all this kind of stuff. And you don't really see that sort of thing happening on the PSP, which then it seems to me, okay, so if you only want to play the good games, you're going to get those anyway. You're going to get about the same percentage, I would think, if you're only playing the hardcore stuff. So I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that you're not getting the filler, and people want to just sometimes buy this kind of stuff. And even if you're not buying these sorts of games, you have stuff to read about, so it's on the top of your head. And without that coming out there, you're like, well, there aren't any games on the PSP.
See, that's the thing. It looks like it's starving when really it's a quality versus quantity thing.
Yeah.
I think I'll talk to Damon from the Nintendo team, and like we'll talk about the DS, and it's one of those things where there's a million games coming
There's
out
a
for it, but I don't
trillion
want
games
any
on
of
the
them.
DS.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's
they're all
all
crap.
shovelware, Diary Girl, and all this other stuff. No, thank you.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't
can
need
See
this.
aquarium.
But you know what? Like, this is
For the
exactly
win.
where I want to jump back up on my soapbox about kicking Sony to release PS1 classic games
Yeah,
for the
totally.
PSP. I mean, like, it's pretty obvious that you can download, like, all these other titles, throw it on the PSP, and it would work, and it would work well. And other countries have so many other classic games being released on their store, whether that happens to be a translation over to the PSP or not,
well,
but it's like,
okay,
this
well,
is where they could really capitalize
I'm
on
going to
this.
cut you off here because I think that, you know, it's really cool when you get things like where you can download PS1 games or whatever. I mean, I still wish for a utility where you could just copy your disc over, which would be awesome because you don't have to pay for the same game again. But I don't want to see the system be housed only to re-releases. I want new content on it, which is what we're, you know, I mean, like I said, we're not getting that for, you know, a fair bit of the games that come out. We're getting some good stuff, but there's not all this other random crap for you to play.
I don't want it to be like a port house either, or just like a revisit like the early days of Sony. Like I would want only the really, really good games.
Metal
like,
Gear,
you know, Metal Gear,
Konami, come on, you
Metal
have a
Gear,
month still.
Vagrant Story, like maybe
yeah.
maybe
I'd
even
like- I'd
pop
like
out
to see
some of the
Vagrant Story
Square
again.
classics, like some of the like. There's so many games that were really, really good that you probably haven't seen, or if you're just getting into gaming now, you wouldn't have even experienced. And the PSP could really make it like, you know, the Excellence Pack or the Excellence series, and have just really, really good ones that you could download and just make it solely that. Have an actual criteria and make it solely that, and that would really
So
be
okay,
a good,
so
good
that
feature.
that would be good if you had those kind of classics. You can get people to play it. But the thing is, if you get a bunch of strong titles, but not something amazing. If you had say somebody released like Chrono Trigger or something like that on the system, you'd be like, okay, awesome, Chrono Trigger's out. Everybody's gonna be talking about it. But if you have all these, you know, like A- level games, whatever, some really solid stuff that everybody should play if they never played it in the first place, but that we're just gonna kind of mention offhand and say, hey, it's coming. Here it is. Here's our, you know, we're not going to hype it so much. Then, you know, you're not getting that hardcore people to be, you know, talking about the machine all the time because these hardcore guys have already played those games. And they say, yeah, it's coming, that's cool. But they're not going to be, you know, talking about it on the message boards constantly, and that's where everything else filters from.
That's true, but I think part of it will depend because I mean, like, look at Symphony of the Night when they decided to release that on PSN. I mean, like, I own the original. I bought it on 360. I bought it again on PS3. I got the Castlevania like UMD that has it there. I mean, it's like, fans were talking about it when that was coming out. I mean, like, if the game is good, they'll talk about it. They'll bring it up, especially if a lot of people haven't played it.
Yeah, but you're talking about one of the best games ever released on the system, though.
That's
and I'm
true.
talking about if you're releasing all of these, so the top 10, 20 games, whatever, you're going to get that. But if you're releasing all these other games that are strong but not absolutely amazing, then you're going to kind of lose that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting away from the PS1 releases, though, I mean, back to the actual UMD releases, what do you guys think the reason is for that we're not getting as many titles as anybody else?
Part of it could just be the UMD process, like production of titles too, because that's something that we always hear from developers about how hard it is to actually get demos made, or how hard it is to like translate their stuff into UMDs, because only Sony can like make these things. So a lot of times that makes it a lot harder to even like start working on some things or getting advance notice of for certain titles.
Something that I don't know about, which I think might have been interesting, is Nintendo's process for getting you a cart, because I don't know. I guess maybe they have machines that can burn that stuff too. So they have temporary. I guess publishers can do that kind of stuff, but that's kind of weird though, because you're looking at a UMD is just it's just a CD or DVD or whatever in a weird packaging, whereas the cart stuff is actually a piece of hardware that you need to acquire from somebody to be able to burn to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
But
think
isn't that just moving data? I've seen them that they use over there. I guess you can empty them. They empty them all the time. Like Craig will empty his thing or whatever and give it to somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. But but you're working with from the surface, it would seem like, okay, I need an actual physical cartridge. And on the other hand, I got a piece of plastic that I should be able to burn on a device that Sony gives me to make my own test games.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you can't do that. But the other thing too is the UMDs. I mean, as we all know from covering games that are early on in development, UMDs are great for sending out to people, but developers have these little boxes that are like a foot wide and tall, and you can pop a DVD in there, and that'll stream it basically to a tethered PSP device to it. So you can just play the systems on that, so you can just burn your own DVDs.
Yeah.
So I don't believe the UMD thing is what's holding them back from being able to release these games, or be able to make the development easier. I don't think that's the problem.
I mean, it could easily, I think, come down to just cost effectiveness. I mean, how much it can't cost that much to go through and make a piece of crap on the DS and toss it to a little card and put it out. You know what I mean? Whereas with a UMD of different, you do have to go to Sony to get the previewed builds made or do it so on like that. And I think that it's just, I think right now the DS just, obviously everybody knows this, has just such a way more, greater penetration into the market where it makes sense to make a million crap games for it, because you throw enough stuff at the wall, it's going to stick. Some kid's going to walk in there and buy it. My mom is going to go out and be retarded and buy Pets 2 horses, which she did.
Oh,
Why'd
God.
you do that, Mom?
Oh,
I could have
no.
given you better recommendations for a DS horse game.
Oh, friends don't let friends buy that game.
You know what I
about-
love is the fact that you just said I could have given you a better recommendation for a DS horse game. Because unfortunately, that can be a true statement.
That is the joy of being one of the few people sent to Germany for Leipzig. You get to play all sorts of crazy games you'd never normally play.
Oh man!
But I think that's it. I mean, I think that right now you can make your money way back quicker and I mean, I think that's a good thing. I'd rather the crap be over there. Granted that we get into the situation where on the PSP page we're like, oh man, we haven't run a review in a while, but there's nothing to review, or we have to do this. There's no news on it, and that sucks. But I think that in a lot of ways people saw that there's no games coming out for the PSP, pushed developers back and said, well, we're going to focus on making money here. And then Sony came out with the Slims, and they sold well, and they saw that jump, and now they have great games, and more people have them. And you haven't seen people yet start switching over to the fact that, well, now we can make crap games over here and get it to go.
So I agree with what you're saying, and I don't know that it's actually the UMD problem, but I think it is because you're working with a 3D environment and all these other things, as opposed to most of the stuff on the DS is 2D and seems to be way easier to make. That the production cost of just making a game is going to be a lot higher. But I think that also it's a lot of the games that we're seeing on the system. Some of the first-party stuff you have, like God of War and Patapon and those sorts of games. Those are all very unique and they stand out. Everybody knows about them. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of games that are just sort of variations, kind of one-offs of, or sort of a here's our take on this franchise. Say like Need for Speed or whatever. They release Need for Speed on every platform. EA talks about the PS3 360 ones, and then, oh, hey, by the way, we have a PSP one coming out too. And they don't really bother to hype it or whatever, because obviously the game's going to look like crap compared to the other ones. So it's going to be really hard sell for them. And that makes, that's obvious. It's going to be really hard for them to get people excited about a game that doesn't look as good as, the other versions of it.
No, yeah.
But at the same time, sales are suffering because of that. So my point is, if these guys would just go out and make games that weren't just versions of 360 and PS3 games, if they made unique content like Sony does in support of the system, then you would actually have better sales more people would make games for it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's totally like publisher's burden. I mean, like that, but that's also like look at who you're talking about. I mean, EA throws out a ton of games for every system, and a certain amount of them are literally shovelware. It is just like, okay, we've got the concept, and here's like a basic engine for it, and there you go. And I mean, that's one of the faults that has always been ascribed to them, and like other publishers are guilty of it too. The biggest thing is like that's the burden on them if they're honestly going to say like, yes, we're interested in this market to do something about it, because otherwise it sits and everybody knows it sits and it sits on the shelves and nobody thinks about it, and then like all of a sudden you see them move away from that entire market. It's like, well, we're not selling there, and it's like, well, no kidding, because you're not doing anything with the damn thing.
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong, too. EA's coming back this year to PSP with NCAA, right? There wasn't an installment of that last year on PSP.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, you have to remember what happened, like, the last time that they did NCAA, there was the huge running glitch. I mean, like, yeah, you better take some time off and fix that. I mean, otherwise you're going to get crucified yet again. But since nobody's seen it, nobody knows what exactly it
we have Mizzou screens up on our site right now.
Yeah, we've got new screens, but they're the same ones that were, like, released at the draft event. So, I mean, like, who knows whether or not it's going to still be the same thing, just with a shinier package or whatever.
All right, so I think that we have two problems, or the publishers and whatever have two problems with what's happening with the PSP right now that need to be overcome. First, I think the games are too damn expensive. $40 for a game, for a portable game, is too much. It should be $30.
It's a lot.
I mean, I can say, okay, I'll pay that for God of War, and you have those kind of, one-off titles where you're like, okay, this game's unique, and I'll pay a little bit extra for this one. But most of the games on the system I want to see for $30.
Patapon $20?
Patapon 20, excellent idea. Excellent idea.
And then secondly, I think that I don't really have a fix for this, except for make more games, make better games, is we're sort of in this chicken and an egg thing where games aren't selling, so nobody's making them, but nobody's
making the games to sell.
Yeah, exactly. So you're kind of in this weird, like, if I think people came out and just all of a sudden everybody got together and said, hey, let's everybody make a cool game for this fall, and everybody started buying games again, then everybody else would benefit from it, and and the market would pick up.
Secret Agent Clank comes out next month. I think that'd be probably the biggest release coming up for it. And I mean, I've played it and it's fun. I'm enjoying my time with it, so I think that could do something. But I'd like to see them get a marketing push behind it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely.
And Hot Shots comes out next month too.
True. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Hot Shots definitely.
Again, both Sony games though.
Yeah, exactly.
Sony's doing a great job of supporting the system, but
it's
nobody
like the
else
PSP
is.
is the
Which
Wii.
you kind of but you kind of expect that. I mean, it's like, it's your system. You better know exactly what you're doing with it and come up with something good for it.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they do. I mean, the positive here is that Sony's actually doing a better job of supporting the PSP with great games than Nintendo is the Wii.
Oh, totally.
But,
shovelware again.
I think that kind of what I was saying earlier is that you get enough good games on the PSP per year that you're not going to be sad about having one.
That's the ultimate low for any system owner, is if you're sad about owning it.
Let me phrase that again. I think you'd be happy to have one if you're taking the time to look in these games and pick up this stuff and play them. I think you can be very happy owning the system, but it'd be nice to have a wider selection, even if it's crap.
Yeah. Do you think piracy is an issue, or piracy?
Piracy.
Piracy.
I think it's something about purity.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
No. Piracy. Is it like an issue just because apparently, I don't know because I'm not good at any homebrew, stuff with OS, but apparently a lot of people can very easily modify their PSPs, just download ROMs, and that's just why a lot of games don't sell.
You can do that on the DS though, and they're not having a problem over there.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's an issue whatsoever.
All right.
Yeah. But just even to go back to the original part of it, like now that we've hit the PSP side, like the PS2 is also just becoming like obviously
Ghost Town.
Well, it's becoming a ghost town, but it's also becoming a niche house, because this is like one of those things where like a lot of niche genres like start cropping up, like all the RPGs, like all the JRPGs that are getting ported over to it, which is awesome if you're a JRPG fan. I mean, you got Persona 3 Fez, which was excellent. I mean,
had Odin Sphere last year.
Yeah, and Odin Sphere, but it's like, all of a sudden you have these genres which in its day would never even get like the time of day, and now because it's at the tail end of its life cycle, you're getting excellent games, but it's going to be one of those like diamond in the rough kind of situations.
Right. But that's that's good. I'm hearing about these games. I mean, given the job that I'm in, I'm supposed to hear about them. But I mean, even if I wasn't, I I'd be hearing about these games where otherwise I probably would never hear about them whatsoever. And so that's kind of cool. I mean, I'm still not really into Japanese RPGs, so I'm not really going to play those games. But I'm hearing about them, and I know that they're there. And were I interested in wanting to go play them, I'd say, oh, hey, maybe I want to give this a shot. So, I mean, that's a very good thing for that genre of games. Now, if only we'd get some of those on the PS3, maybe everybody would be happy. Does anybody have anything else to add to this before we move on? Or No, I guess that's a no.
Apparently no.
All right, before we jump to a real segment, I want you to tell everyone about your shirt because it's just so brilliant, and I can't stop laughing at it.
So my wife bought me this shirt for my birthday a few weeks ago, or I think my birthday was about a month and a half ago. Anyway, and we're all fans of The Office. Everybody knows we had we based time around it at one point. So it's a shirt that has it's got a picture of a Stanley Nickel, and then it says equals or colon a Shroot Buck is to a so let me read that again because I'm doing a terrible job. Anyway, there's four pictures, and basically what it reads is a Stanley Nickel is to a Shroot Buck as a unicorn is to a leprechaun. Where if you're a fan of The Office, you'll remember the episode where
Shroot Bucks.
Yeah, Mike was going to get another job or something, and then Dwight took over the office. And then was giving out Shroot Bucks, and if you had $1,000, you could get an extra half-hour lunch or something. Something crazy. Anyway, awesome. But yeah, no, this shirt's great. I keep meaning.
Office on tonight. Don't forget.
Yeah, no, I kept trying to wear it on a Thursday. I kept forgetting to put it on. I was going to wear it at the premiere of the comeback, and then totally forgot. My wife's been like, wear it wear it on Thursdays, and finally,
it all clicked into place
I'm doing it.
today.
Now I got it.
Week 4.
Yeah, here it is on the podcast. So, yes, there it is. So, as I already mentioned, Haze demo came out today on the PlayStation Network. And somebody else mentioned that there was Pixel Junk Encore. But there's more stuff that hit the network. If only Blognack hadn't been shot by Greg.
I'm sorry. I really didn't think this one through.
I'm very glad you did, actually. But maybe we can find out from Jeff.
Do you realize? Blognack. He was a zombie, but now he's a zombie, and he's Blognack, and he'll mourn for you.
You screwed that up, didn't you?
Yeah.
He was a zombie, and now he's a zombie.
Yeah.
I kept going with it because I liked it.
I liked it.
Obviously Monty Python inspired, but it's kind of being a pain in the ass to like go down to that cave with Zombie Blognack to get all these updates. Exactly. Anyway, this week there's 3 demos: Grid, The Bourne Conspiracy, and Haze. Obviously, Rocketman: Axis of Evil now apparently can be fully purchased outright.
I don't really get. I still don't get that because that was supposed to come out a while ago.
Some people dig it. I don't know who. Pixel Junk: Monsters Encore, of course, one of the greatest strategy games of all time. Rock Band and Guitar Hero obviously are getting more songs. There's a ton of.
What is Rock Band getting?
It's Yeah Yeahs.
Some Muse stuff.
Like Fall Out Boy and Muse.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's
massive black hole.
Thanks for hijacking the segment there, Ryan. Anyway, there's a number of trailers and videos, 2 themes, and some wallpaper, and for the PSP Fireteam Bravo 2 demo. That's about it.
That's pretty good. You know what it's time for?
I don't know. What could
Mail call! Mail call! Mail enhancement!
Mail pattern baldness!
Maelstrom!
Mail pigeon!
Ginger Mail.
Christian Bale mail!
Milk.
Wait, I do have a few announcements before we actually get into the questions.
There are announcements before
Are
mail?
these related to the mailbag, or is these something else?
These are mailbag stuff. That's why I wanted to put it here. Is that we've had a lot of new suggestions that they have
which I was actually
added to
also
our
going to
official
mention
list.
too.
Yes.
Oh, pwned.
Including is mail fraud and malleability, which I liked, those I haven't yet added onto our official list.
Okay.
This is a printout.
Well, you have a whole bunch. Why didn't you? Are you not going to use them all, or are you just going to?
So
I like those 2 the best.
You know what? I was going to go over this outside, but since you wanted to bring this up in the middle of the podcast, I got to say I don't agree with the selections that you've made, Ryan.
There's some great ones here.
No, there are some great. I haven't seen your entire list.
They're awesome.
And I want to hear. Let me hear the rest of them. I'll tell you my problem with some of these though.
Well, I only circled the ones I liked. The other ones
What? There's 13 here. You circled 2.
Actually, there's only 12.
I have these on. I have these on the list
Well, some
also.
of them are just repeats.
Number 13 as well. You got to stop at 12. If you go past it, that's bad luck.
Who sent this in to us?
Where's my
Austin
list?
Trees.
Austin Trees.
Oh, Vex Doppel actually sent a lot of them in too.
Yeah.
Read Austin's list, then I'll read Vex Doppel's.
Male chauvinist or male chauvinist pig. Male erectile dysfunction. Male genitalia. Male content.
Male content is good.
Yeah,
I like that one.
we can circle it.
good.
I forgot.
Mail bomb, mail drop, spam mail, mail fraud, mail order or mail order bride, malleability, malleable Norman Mailer. Awesome.
Norman
Mailer. Awesome.
Okay, so Vex Doppel sent in
But
this
I'll
list.
circle that one too.
Postal mail, junk mail,
yeah.
electronic mail, and then in parentheses email, courier mail, express mail, first class mail, voicemail, priority mail, overnight mail, packaged mail, Windows mail, mail slot,
Hey.
mailman,
Mail slot.
alpha mail done in the snake voice, which would be like alpha mail.
Alpha male.
Or Brucey.
Alpha
or
male.
Brucey.
I'm the alpha male. Nico. Come on, man.
Okay, so there's some good suggestions
pretty
here.
good.
Here's my
Break my balls, NB.
Here's my thing though is I like the word plays where the word mail is in there but you don't fit it in. Like Christian Bale mail, you just tack on mail at the
But
end
I
of
like that
Christian
one a
Bale.
lot. That's a
That
good
one is
one.
brilliant.
Maelstrom is great because
Maelstrom
you say
is freaking
maelstrom
awesome.
because you already say mail in the word.
Yeah.
Male pattern baldness, mail is already in there.
Yeah.
But then like I don't know. And then
Come on,
so-
Ginger mail?
Ginger mail is funny. I like ginger mail.
I don't get it. Is it just ginger mail?
ale.
Yeah, but see, now you're playing with the word ale and turning it into mail. That's what I don't like.
Hey, well, I like it. All right.
Well,
whatever.
So that's it.
That's a difference of
Anyway,
opinion.
keep sending them in because they're
Yeah, you're doing
freaking
good.
awesome to
But
get these lists.
one other thing is that remember, I don't know if I think I told Jeff about this, but another reader sent us in a message that apparently when he was riding his bike through Amsterdam, it's a very cultured reader here, he found
Because he's been to Amsterdam?
a shop.
Maybe he lives in Amsterdam.
Yeah, maybe. He found a shop that sells office supplies and also certain types of toys for women. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And it was
Sex
it
toys.
was actually called
Sex toys.
male and female. And he actually has
sent
a
a picture.
picture
He
of
sent
the
a
shop.
picture. It's
Yes.
hilarious.
And it's amazing, and I just can't stress enough how awesome this is. And that's all I have to say. Thank
Very
you.
good. Let's get to the questions. First up is W. Solomon 1 says, when do we think that Sony will reveal God of War 3? And do we think we'll have some form of online component to it?
Ooh.
The earliest we're ever going to hear about God of War 3 again is, it's already been announced, but the earliest we're going to hear anything solid is at E3. I think that there's a chance they're going to show it there. I think it's a decent chance. I don't think they're going to show very much. I think it's just going to be more one of those things to pad the library and say,
I bet it'll be a teaser trailer. Yeah.
15-second
it's
teaser.
going to be something real quick. Maybe, Kratos kind of, killing somebody, but not necessarily in game or,
Hurrah!
Yeah, I think it'll be something kind of cool like that. Or maybe you see some environments where you don't even see Kratos, which would be kind of rad. You just kind of hints at it, which would be kind of cool. But
then it ends, when like they're coming through this like Roman Coliseum and they come to like this and there's like lightning crackling
You mean
and you
Greek?
just see his whatever. You just see his outline and he's holding a briefcase. His tie is flittering in the wind. You have no idea what's happening.
Executive award.
I liked it up to where you said the briefcase, but well, I can see how that can
He has
work.
to fight in the corporate world.
Oh God.
And as far as online components go, I think a versus mode would be kind of rad, but that's not something you should assume. I think leaderboards would be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
The game kind of has it totally in place. You have Challenge of the Gods and all that kind of stuff would be pretty cool. Cake Fu says,
Wow.
nobody's forgotten about Sony saying there will be a PS3 exclusive Rockstar game, and it's not going to be LA Noire. Haven't heard anything about it in almost a year, and wondering if we have. No. Rockstar is being mum since they were working on another game they just released, which I forget what that was. But maybe they'll start talking about it soon. Midnight Club is going to be coming out pretty soon, so their focus is going to shift to that, and then maybe we'll hear about whatever else they're doing. So. Maybe E3. Although Rockstar doesn't usually make a big deal out of E3.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think you'll hear about that soon.
Yeah. Jeff Ramsaroop says, were there any games shown at Sony's Gamers Day or PlayStation Day that you were really excited about but can't talk about? No.
We weren't there either.
Yeah, we weren't. We weren't in the London one, but there was only those 4 games there, or that was really all that they were showing. There is a U.S. thing next week, which you'll be seeing some stuff from, which there'll be a couple more games there, but nothing's going to be embargoed. So no secrets held on that end, unless somebody whispers something to our ear, but that's nothing crazy. The Aggression says that
The Aggression.
next time we interview EA, please ask them if they're planning on using the Euphoria engine for tackles and catch animations for Madden 09. He's saying that he watched the trailer, the gameplay footage, and that it was just sort of kind of the same sort of motion captured stuff. Here's the thing. So Natural Motion is making the Euphoria engine. We've seen it in GTA. It just came out. And if you've seen the Backbreaker trailers, the animation's awesome because it's not actually but it's not mocapped animation. It's all physics and AI based. It's awesome. I mean, it looks real. It's incredible. But here's the thing: is that's their selling point for the game. Like, they're not just going to hand that over to EA and say, hey, guess what? Go ahead and put this in Madden, and now we have no reason for our game to exist. So, no, you're not going to... I mean, EA may try to make their own thing
not
to compete with it.
Considering, like, I've actually seen it, and I've seen it running on the PS3, and while there are certain things that we can't talk about because we're still embargoed on it, like, it's not using Euphoria. And if they are, then they haven't announced that at all. But it's something completely different.
They're absolutely not. But, and... and Natural Motion is not going to hand over the engine, as I said, because they can choose who they want to license to. And
exactly.
They can license to EA for other things, but they can say, don't do it for Madden. But I am not going to be surprised one bit when, in a couple of months, you hear that EA has bought Natural Motion. Believe it.
Yes, that is totally true.
Nobody has told me anything on that. This is no inside stuff. I'm just saying it's going to happen. EA is going to buy Natural Motion. There's no way that they can't do it now. It has to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, Tiburon is definitely not using that for Madden.
I mean, if you put that into Madden, you're done. That's all you ever need.
or for NCAA either.
Yeah. Okay, PS2 Muse says, what are all of Sony's first and second party studios developing at the moment? Are there any titles in pre-development, whatever that means, are being kept under wraps that we know about? We haven't heard anything from Infamous for a while. What's up with that? You guys know everything that we do as opposed to the first party stuff, really. Everything's already been announced that people are talking about. You know, I mean, Insomniac's doing Resistance, and who knows what Naughty Dog's doing. Probably another Drake's Fortune, but that's not announced. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, we could tell you a laundry list of games that we would like to see, like a new Jack, a new Sly Cooper.
A lot of them are pretty.
No
a lot of them are pretty obvious, even though they're not official. Like, you assume that there's going to be another Ratchet coming from Insomniac. You probably assume there's going to be another Jack somewhere, which I think they sort of said there was going to be one. So, you know, something like that. And but specifically about Infamous, no, they haven't said anything for a while. They were kind of holding off on that to kind of let some of the other stuff die down from the end of last year, and so you should be hearing about that pretty soon.
I bet E3.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to have a pretty big presence at E3, so look for that one there. Sean9986 says, there's been news of some companies dropping out of E3. Do we think that E3 2008 will be a disappointment, or do you expect big things like every year? So now the thing is, one of the biggest companies, or perhaps the biggest company that dropped out of E3 was Activision. But now here's the thing: is they just sort of like left the ESA who puts together E3, but they're going to be in a hotel right next to E3 while the show is going on. So they're really part of E3. They're just not actually inside the building, and you can't really count them as E3, but we will.
They'll be. A bunch of people are going to do that. Like, even though they won't be in that
it's kind of like the gathering of developers when they have the God Lot in old E3s, where they're like, we're not part of the show, but we're going to do whatever the hell we want. So it's the same thing.
All of these big guys that are dropping out are going to have stuff, just not in the convention center. They're going to have it in a hotel or whatever next to it. Or
one of the things that isn't the ESA being real strict this year as far as how much space everybody gets.
Yeah.
And it's real small too. Like it's like a little
tiny
booth. Yeah.
So Activision's actually winning out in this big because they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Now they can take over a ballroom.
All the money they spend goes towards whatever they want to do.
300 men dressed as Spider-Man swinging around the ceiling.
Oh, that would be awesome.
They all have skateboards and
they're
playing Guitar Hero.
Vex Doppel, he sent in that laundry list of suggestions that I read, but also wants to know that he's read that the PS3 will have downloadable content for GTA 4, and it's possible that both systems will get the content, just that 360 will have its own exclusive thing. So I think it was Dan Reeves or somebody from Sony was saying that he thinks that PS3 will get its own downloadable content at some point, which to me, since he's saying he thinks that it will, means that there's nothing official about that yet, but he might just not be in the loop because there are miscommunication problems between U.S. and Europe all the time. I would be very surprised if the PS3 did not somehow get downloadable content at some point for the game, whether it's the same thing as the 360 but later on, which I think will probably happen.
That's what I'd bet too.
Because I mean, you look at all the previous games leading up to 4. You look at GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. They all appeared on the Xbox afterwards. I mean, they were exclusive to the PS2 for 6 months or a year or whatever in all those cases, and then they just eventually wound up in the Xbox. I think the same thing's going to happen. Say it comes out this fall, next spring, you'll probably see it on PS3. Latin Heat 1, who I still find that name disturbing,
Latino Heat
says, what titles are we most excited about? And which we go over that all the time. But why has Sony been so quiet about Killzone and Little Big Planet? Shouldn't they be releasing footage, videos, images, whatever? We've previewed Little Big Planet like 53 times, I think.
Yeah.
A lot, anyway. And they're not. I mean, they're not being super quiet about Killzone. I mean, they just showed the game, but you probably sent this letter maybe before you saw that. But even still, they were showing Killzone stuff, fairly often, not all the time, but here and there.
Yeah.
And certainly more than other games we see, like Infamous.
And you have to remember that Sony has a problem at times of like announcing something on a game, and then you never hear from it for like at least 6 months to a year or more.
Infamous.
Or like some feature like Infamous Africa. Who the hell knows what that's about? And I mean, like that's more than 2 E3s since they first announced it. I mean,
It's a Zebra MMO.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
like don't
Finally.
just think that
One.
there's some magic thing that's going on that they're not telling us about. It's just Sony has a problem with that.
By the way, did you guys see the video of the Little Big Planet stage based on the Killzone 2 character themes and art and stuff?
I have not seen this. No.
Oh, it's pretty. It's like probably a bootleg video or someone who's doing it. Not quite for the law, but yeah, it's just a video, and it shows like a Hellgast's eyes, and like it's flashing lightning and stuff, and the camera's like pulling out, and the camera pulls all the way out, and it's one of the little sack people with a Hellgast helmet, and he's like dancing around. It's awesome.
Very good.
Yes.
Gomez says he wants to know if developers how they're handling the potential release of home and in-game cross-media bar, and how they're handling that with their development, and to games like Prologue and Hot Shots Golf. Do those have ties where voice chat will automatically appear and all these other things? I will tell you right now that the people that we've talked to about games that have been coming up, and some have come out, and like we were asking the D3 guys about what the hell was that?
Dark Sector. Yeah.
Home support and that, and all these other things. And from what it sounds like, is nobody at this point, at least we know of, is putting in hooks to where it'll automatically turn on when home comes out later. I mean, there might be some sort of patch where they retrofit stuff and add stuff in there, but I don't think anybody has anything in where you just turn a switch on and then it works.
The only one that does is Warhawk, and that's only because Dylan's talked about like how they've got a lot of it backside on their servers and everything with the integration, so that as soon as it actually goes live, they can flick that
Warhawk's
switch.
an easy one to do because of all the stats and whatnot that are kept online, so they can easily fit that. But
I thought I had heard somewhere that Naughty Dog was doing it for Uncharted 2. That since they already had like the list of achievements or whatever.
See,
awards.
that's another one that you could retrofit also.
Yeah.
But nobody has put in trophies that are in there that you just can't see.
True.
Yet.
Yeah. Like in Turok, you unlock accomplishments, but it's not like you see a trophy. You just get like
So some games,
same thing with DMC4.
Some games some games that have that sort of thing built in where you could easily convert from one to the other.
The closest
that could happen, but nobody's. Nobody has trophies in there yet.
The closest one was NBA 08.
Really?
And that was because like you would get trophy-sized things that actually looked like you could rip that trophy out of whatever the accomplishment was, and that could be thrown right into the trophy
Well, it
room
is a
of
sports game.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's
Trophies. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but considering that it's like jerseys and basketballs and things like that, it's like completely different than just you win the.
Yeah, you've won the Riders Cup.
Daedric Prince says, do we think the PS3 version of Fallout 3 will have mod support due to the success with Unreal Tournament 3? I don't know. So here's the thing: is Unreal Tournament, that game and that franchise it's always been strong, solid release when it's come out, but it's thrived on mod support and user-created maps and all these sorts of things. Whereas Fallout is being sold on the disc content and any bonus stuff that people make and whatever else. I know they release their tools and whatnot for the PC, but you're getting Fallout 3 is meant to be played as itself, and any additional stuff you add to the PC one or potentially PS3 if that happens is bonus. Whereas with Unreal, it's set up so that you are hey, here's the game and use mods. So it's kind of a different approach. So that's not going to be a huge selling point for it. I don't think. And maybe they'll add it, but
it could, depending upon what the mod is, like completely break part of the reality. I mean, like since it's all about
but that's fine. I mean, you choose to put whatever you want in there. But who knows? I guess we'll see what happens. It'd be awesome, but we'll see. Sean9986 sent another one and says, when we go to a conference or a meeting or whatever and we try a game, do we actually tell the developers what we think about the game so they can make improvements? For example, at the PlayStation Day, somebody played Killzone, said it was solid but lacked anything new and had poor level design. Would we be able to tell this to Guerrilla so they know it's an issue to work on before it's released? So first off, I guarantee you that if somebody makes a comment about some of these games anywhere, and I mean,
It gets back to them.
it's going to get back to them in some fashion, because even if it's not the Guerrilla guys that are reading this, and I'm sure they are, but even if it's like, PR people or other internal people pass the note on, they're going to see it. I mean, even if it's people on message boards that are dissecting a trailer and saying, this looks like crap, they're going to hear about that. And so especially if they send us out there to play the game, they're going to want to know what our feedback is. That's guaranteed. I mean, for me personally, I imagine this is true for most everybody in this industry. It is kind of weird if you're playing a game and something sucks to then turn to the dude to the left of you who's directing the game and say, this part of the game sucks. I mean, I always try to use some tact, and I'm like, yeah, it's coming along. We'll see how it gets in the end. Hopefully, they take that as hints.
Yeah, they know their buzzwords and stuff, and it's the same thing. I mean, in previews in general, I think this is not to get on a soapbox, but just to bring up real quick on the Iron Man review. I didn't preview the game ahead of time. I just did the review. Hillary had done a preview for it beforehand, and in the review comments, one of the kids pulled out of it like, why does IGN do this? They talk them up in the previews and then rip them down in the reviews, and he quoted something saying that this is one of the best-looking pre-alpha games we've ever seen. And he's like, I don't understand how it can be that good then, and it sucks. And they don't understand the difference in criteria. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as when you play a preview, you expect things to be broken, and you expect things not to look great. And I mean,
and then you expect them to be fixed by the time the game comes out.
That's an unspoken thing. That's why in previews it's rare for us to say, well, this was happening, and then this thing fell through the ceiling. Damn it, sorry.
Whatever, just keep going.
What time?
Mark it, yeah.
Mark the time.
But yeah, so that's basically what I'm saying. We don't lay into somebody in a preview because they have time to fix it, and they get it from our text of what we're saying and what we're talking about.
Yeah, and then other times, like, the developers will specifically go, like, we want your feedback on whatever. I mean, like, I had that when I went to this EA Sports thing, where one of the teams was like, we want you to sit down, play it, and then tell us what you think about, like, what we're doing with this system or how this works. And every single, like, gaming outlet has that. It doesn't matter whether it's an event or whatever else. If you're dealing with like some hands-on time and you are seeing it and you are playing it, if the producer's there and you're telling them exactly what you think, that's feedback. If they ask you something to either write down just as like, hey, what did you think about whatever, that's feedback. If they read whatever you wrote as a preview, it's feedback, and it's going to wind up getting over to them. It just depends on exactly what it is, because sometimes it's overt and sometimes it's a little bit more, like removed, and they just sit back and read exactly how things play out in the media.
Now, I'll tell you what, anything that you tell these guys, they've probably already heard before, because as soon as a game is even remotely playable, most of these guys are bringing in QA testers, like 5 random dudes off the street, about once a week. And what happened? The phone turned
It's our lovely podcast room. We can hear next door them turning on their speakerphone.
Excellent.
Awesome. Good job. Hey, whatever. Anyway, but so a lot of these guys are bringing in guys off the street to play the game. They just say, "Hey, we have a game."
Off the street.
No, seriously, like,
dude.
We'll give you a hot dog if you play our game.
No, dude,
I'd be
seriously.
there.
When I was at when I was in Infinity Ward, or when Call of Duty 4 was rolling up, they're showing me. They're like, "Here's where dudes come and play," and I'm like, "You guys get dudes off the street?" They're like, "Yep." They're like, sometimes we'll just send a guy down to the corner for an hour, and he'll grab the first 5 dudes that say they've played a video game before, and we'll bring them inside, and we'll pay them, $20 or whatever, and they'll play the game for an hour and give us their feedback, and they got monitors there.
Yeah.
They just bring in whoever they can find off the street. So if there's problems, they will have heard all this before, and they already know those problems. I mean, if you have 100 dudes working on it, somebody's going to realize something sucks. Now, the kind of one difference is if we're at an event and we're playing something, if you're working on a game, sometimes it's hard to see what's wrong. Like if you write music or you paint or do anything artistic, whatever, if you create something, it's sometimes hard to see your flaws because you're so deep into it. Yeah, it's hard to step back. But these other guys are going to tell you these problems, and so maybe you want a little bit of insight. The difference between us and these guys off the street are the dudes off the street might not know exactly how to phrase something, or won't be able to give them comparisons. Maybe they aren't as experienced. So if we come in there and we say, hey, these controls don't quite work correctly, the acceleration that you get when you turn isn't high enough, and there's too much lag going on there. That might be better feedback than what they're getting from these other dudes, but the other guys are already telling them the controls don't feel right.
Yeah.
And then they're already figuring out, so this is nothing they haven't heard before, and it's just maybe a little bit different take, and they kind of say, oh, okay, now I get what I've been hearing.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is that like even though we will sometimes give like different suggestions or talk about like, hey, you can mind spam things like this, like we did with Warhawk, where I was like, hey, Dylan, you can mind spam the hell out of like bridges and everything, and they made sure that they changed some of that too. It's not like whatever we suggest, if we make a suggestion and it doesn't make it into the final game, we're like, oh god, they're not paying any attention to what we said.
Because most of the time it actually doesn't happen.
One,
very rarely happens.
Yeah, depending upon whatever it is that we said, we probably barely even remember the damn thing to begin with when it finally comes out. Yeah. And two, even if our one suggestion does make it in, like, are you really going to sit back and go, oh yeah, that was mine? I mean, like, it doesn't happen that way. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, the same thing. They've heard it from all the testers.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that like we're just coming up with what we see when we're playing that game, and hey, if it works, it works.
Or you could be just like me and slap them upside the head when you see them.
Yeah, because you all gangsta.
That's why you're fired.
Boom! You all gangsta like that, Clements.
It's fun to be a hood rat.
Keep it all street, G.
Yep.
Keeping it street.
All right, my hot chocolate's gone. That means it's the end of mailbag.
Mail call.
Let's pick
mail bomb.
Time for pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
Whoa! Turn the speakers down.
Pull back, Turbo.
Ryan should have said that before he yelled.
Yeah,
you did that. You did that at the wrong time.
And I can put it in.
You're not allowed to do that part.
No, not allowed to.
Because then my making fun of you won't make any sense.
You're not really making fun of me. You're just pointing something out.
It's both.
Duality in your making fun of. Fun.
All right, at this point, pick of the week, not Iron Man. Do not buy Iron Man. That eliminates
not
it.
Iron Man.
The R-Type review is going up today, so we're going to have a final word on that. And I believe Pixel Junk Monsters review is probably going up Friday.
Ideally.
We haven't played.
I'm making the preliminary Pixel Junk Monsters.
I haven't even purchased
that's tough.
it yet.
I mean, that's
preliminary Pixel Junk Monsters.
So we don't have. Yeah, I'd go that way too, probably.
Yeah,
but we have not played it.
Seriously,
so
when you've got levels that are based off of Space Invaders and Pac-Man, how can you go wrong?
All right. Well, hey Ryan, what are your thoughts right now before the review goes up? What are your thoughts on R-Type? Is it good or bad?
If you're a PSP owner and you want something to play that's a solid experience, R-Type is good.
So it's solid.
Yeah, it's definitely solid.
Very good. Ryan, we mentioned this before. Editor Beatdown, hit it in your best Snake voice.
All right. Tomorrow we're going to be playing GTA again, and hopefully the patch fixes all that crap that we had to go through last week, or the week before. I don't know. I forgot what time it was because I'm so effed up in the head.
Whoa there, Skippy.
What are the details on this? We're posting to the boards and...
Yeah, I guess, Greg,
apparently,
do you want to...
we were supposed to ask you guys if you were free to play tomorrow afternoon again.
I'll play.
All right, yeah, we're going to do it in the afternoon tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
After lunch.
What?
After lunch.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I got some vids to record.
Yeah.
That's all.
We'll do it too. Oh, no.
Dance the night away.
It's time for the PSN hit.
Right there?
Feel it
so
no.
Last week we had, what was it? Speakerphone.
Yeah.
Speakerphone.
Was our PSN hit. The week before was Wheat Thin.
This is your PSN hit.
That was just... Ow!
You've been hit.
Threw metal at me.
You've been hit and beyond.
Metal adapters for microphone.
It's gold at least. I don't know what that means. Who should we have it to? Let's look around the room and find something random. Light bulb? You want to go?
No, can't. Greg just keeps naming random objects. First, like,
well, but those are the best names, though.
Wheat Thin.
I didn't even name Wheat Thin.
I made Wheat Thin.
Yeah, your boss did. What do you think of that?
Thinking of were you hungry at the time?
I was talking about how I had Wheat Thins for lunch.
He doesn't care.
And then I said that'd be a cool username, and then I think it was Greg.
That's what
somebody
happened.
said
Kleenex Rockstar. That's too long.
Yeah.
Kleenex Rocker.
We're giving out all kinds of like bonus names here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something here, dude. That could be. We need something.
Warhawk Killer.
Crack Rabbit.
Yeah.
Crack Rabbit. That's the one.
Yes, Crack
That
Rabbit.
was immediate.
I don't know.
Immediate
that just came
favorite.
into
For
my
the
head.
record, there was no speakerphone last week.
Yeah,
We did a search when
We
we got
checked.
back to the desk, and there was
Okay.
no speakerphone.
So now we're looking for
Crack
Crack Rabbit, either with a space or not. Maybe weird spellings like K-R-A-K Rabbit. Maybe there's a one instead of an I. Crack Rabbit in some fashion. Not Crack Bunny.
Right.
Not Crack Badger. Crack Rabbit.
Crack Rabbit.
Crack Badger would have been pretty funny also,
Crack
but
Badger,
we'll
Crack
stick
Badger
with
is your
Crack.
bonus
Crack
hit.
Rabbit.
He's your secondary objective. Is Crack Badger. So right now we're looking for the Crack Posse. And there are
Insane Crack Posse?
there are unknown affiliates of theirs of other woodland creatures that you may feel free to go.
Crack Squirrel.
And Crack Squirrel, we've heard maybe one. And
Opium Moose.
yeah, and Crack Parakeet.
Oh, no.
All right. Tournament winners. Ryan, are there any tournament winners this week?
Yes, there is. This week's PS3 Lobby Community Challenge winner in a heart-pounding game of Warhawk is Cold Comfort. Congratulations, sir or ma'am.
Sir or
Sir
man.
or ma'am. Whatever the case may be, you will receive nothing.
Very good.
If you laugh now,
man.
you still get nothing.
This is out of
Headphones
control.
are screwing up again. Something wrong with my headphone.
I got no
You
snare.
You got no snare.
Turn my snare up.
Okay, I'm good. Keep
Back
going.
in it. I'm going to mute you right now.
Good.
Which one are you?
Oh.
Oh, Ryan. Oh, you're back in. Oh, God.
Zombie blog neck
It
on him.
was so cold.
Oh, man. All right, that brings us to the end of the show. Who's
It's
got
me.
a song?
I got the song
Ryan's
today.
got the song.
Oh,
What
This
is
is,
it?
this is a song that doesn't make
Don't
any
phone it
sense
in.
because it's entirely guitar-based.
Don't
so
phone it in.
What is this, Joe
It's
Satriani?
another part of Ryan's
Yeah.
anime corner.
Oh,
Ryan's. All right.
you
let's
better not
hear
phone
it.
it in.
Yeah, let's hear it. I like how you're looking at the paper like you're trying to read the lyrics.
Surf Ninjas. Brought to you in Technicolor.
I'm just doing some with my hands.
Yeah, he's air guitaring. Whoa.
Now he's going Michael Winslow.
Can this count as a song without lyrics?
Beyond? Beyond?
Hold on. I'm just muting him. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Beyond.
Peace out.
Beyond!
Beyond.
Yep.
Back up.